With ammo, groceries, and gas prices all going up, dropping $2,000 on a rifle just to show off at the range is starting to feel a little wild. The upside, there's a new crop of budget-friendly bolt guns and carbines that are quietly serving up the kind of accuracy and reliability we used to only see in high-end rigs. These rifles are letting regular shooters get that $500 performance and still have cash left over for good glass and some real trigger time. If you're an everyday gun owner, a home defender, or a hunter who trusts 5.56 NATO, 308 Winchester, or 6.5 Creedmoor, this is your lane. Forget the price tag for a second. If a rifle can't cycle right, hold a group, or handle recoil the way you expect, it's useless when things get real. I've tested enough budget rifles to know which ones are worth your time and which ones belong back on the rack. These 5, they hit way harder than their cost suggests. Before we start arguing in the comments, let us set the stage here. For a long time, $500 was treated like some kind of magic wall at the gun counter. Under that number, folks would say, yeah, it is fine for the range. Over that number, suddenly everything became duty grade, precision, and serious use only. The last few years have blown that idea out of the water. CNC machines got better, barrel making got smarter, and a few very boring-looking rifles started delivering the same real-world performance as the flashy $2,000 builds. Today, we are talking about that exact sweet spot rifles that still leave you money for good glass and ammo, but absolutely pull their weight in a class, in the Deerwoods, or if you ever have to pick one up when something goes bump at 3 a.m. So as we run through this list, don't just look at the price tag on the receiver. Think about the whole setup. Can you swing a solid optic, a sling, a white light, mags, and enough ammo actually to get to know your rifle? That's the real test here. Every gun on this list lands in that sub-$100 zone, but brings accuracy, reliability, and ergonomics that honestly rival those classic $500 builds everyone loves to brag about. Whether you're the one hauling a bolt gun up a ridge at sunrise or the homeowner with an AR by the bed, this list is all about helping you spend where it counts and skip the logo tax. Sliding into the number 5 spot is Ruger American Gen 2. This thing is what happens when a blue-collar bolt gun gets a serious second chance. The first-generation American shot fine, but it always felt a little like a budget rifle that wandered into the wrong rack. Gen 2 fixes that. You get a spiral-fluted barrel, a tougher finish, an actually comfortable stock, and a 3-position safety that feels like it belongs on a much pricier hunting rifle. In the field, that matters. When your hands are cold and you are trying to work the bolt quietly, you want controls that feel positive, not mushy. Where this rifle really earns its slot is how it performs with standard calibers like 308 Winchester and 6.5 Creedmoor. With decent ammo, plenty of shooters are seeing 1-inch groups, sometimes even sub-MOA, at 100 yards. That puts it right beside rifles that cost several $100s more. Recoil is tame for a lightweight gun. The stock geometry helps you stay locked in behind the scope, and threaded muzzles mean you can add a brake or suppressor later. No, it is not a safe queen. The stock is still more tool than trophy. But if your priority is dropping deer, hogs, or steel without draining the bank account, Ruger American Gen 2 feels an awful lot like a $500 rig that somebody quietly slapped a sale tag on. In a real deer camp full of scratched-up rifles and beat-up coolers, this is the one that just keeps punching tags while the fancy walnut guns stay in the truck. At number 4, we have the Bergara B14 HMR, and this is where things start getting spicy for the traditional bolt gun crowd. The HMR was built from day one to blur the line between a hunting rifle and a precision match rifle. Instead of a hollow plastic stock, you get a full mini chassis hidden inside a beefy adjustable stock. That means the action is sitting on solid metal. The barrel is truly free-floated, and you get the kind of betting job people used to pay a gunsmith serious money to create. Out on the range, that shows up as repeatable cold-bore shots and very boringly consistent groups. If you like ringing steel a long way out, this rifle will make you grin. In calibers like 6.5 Creedmoor and 6.5 PRC, the Bergara B14 HMR routinely turns in half to 3/4 MOA groups with quality match ammo. The heavier barrel and near 9-pound weight are not fun to carry up a mountain all day, but they absolutely soak up recoil and help you spot your own impacts in the scope. That is the kind of behavior people expect from custom-barreled actions and chassis rifles that run $2,000 or more. On top of that, it uses AICS pattern magazines and a Remington 700 footprint, so dropping this action into a different chassis later is easy. I have seen more than one shooter show up to a local practical match with an HMR and absolutely hang with guys running rifles that cost twice as much, and the Bergara never looked out of place on the firing line. Taking the number 3 spot is IWE Zion 15, and this is where the AR crowd starts paying attention. A lot of budget carbines are built to a price. The Zion 15 feels like it was built to a standard instead. You get a 16-inch 4,150 CMV barrel, a mid-length gas system, a 15-inch free-float MLOC rail, and furniture from B5 systems right out of the box. That combination alone puts it in the same conversation as rifles that usually wear much fancier roll marks. More importantly, it is gas-operated like an adult rifle. The recoil impulse is smooth, not overgassed and slappy, the way many entry-level guns feel when you start shooting fast. On the firing line, that matters more than any brochure. With good ammo, plenty of shooters are seeing 1 to 1.3-inch groups at 100 yards from 5.56 NATO, which is exactly where a lot of high-end carbines live. Reliability-wise, the Zion 15 chews through training ammo and duty loads without drama, and the mid-length gas system and B5 stock make long strings feel less fatiguing. Is the trigger basic? Sure. Are the controls mostly right-handed? Yes, but the heart of the rifle, the barrel and gas system, and bolt, are set up for real work. Stack it next to something like a Daniel Defense DDM 4v7 at the range, and most casual shooters will feel almost no difference in recoil or handling once the shots start breaking. For a home defense carbine, a truck rifle, or your first serious training gun, IWE Zion 15 delivers everything people expect from one $500 ARs while still leaving room in the budget for a real optic, a white light, and a couple of classes. Moving up to number 2, the PSA Saber Forged series is where the term budget rifle honestly stops making sense. Palmetto State Armory built its reputation on affordable ARs, but the Saber line is its way of saying, all right, let us show you what we can really do. You get forged 7,075 receivers, premium barrels, and a rail system that does not feel like it is going to flex when you lean into it. On many Saber models, the parts list reads like a wish list: upgraded triggers, enhanced charging handles, better muzzle devices, and tuned buffer systems that smooth out the recoil. The magic trick is what happens when you do the math. If you tried to build a rifle with similar components piece by piece, you would almost always blow past the $1,500 mark. By the time you buy a quality barrel, a name brand trigger, an Ombi charging handle, a solid handguard, a better stock, and then factor in the small stuff, it adds up fast. With PSA Saber, you open one box and you are basically there. On the range, these rifles hang right with higher-priced builds. They print about 1 MOA with decent match ammo and run reliably through long strings when you keep them fed and lubed. I have watched more than one shooter show up to a class with a Saber and quietly outshoot the guy who spent the whole lunch break explaining his $200 parts list. The only real downside is that they can be a little front-heavy, and you are still buying into Palmetto's mass production world, not a boutique shop. But for the average American who wants a carbine they can stake real responsibility on, PSA Saber Forged delivers premium performance without the premium logo. Finally, at number 1 we have the Lead and Steel ARC, and this is the sleeper carbine that makes a lot of expensive rifles very nervous. On paper, it looks like another nice AR. In reality, it is built around one very big idea: the HM Defense monoblock barrel. Instead of sliding a separate gas block over the barrel and praying it never shifts, the gas block is machined into the barrel itself. There are no set screws to loosen, no pins to shear, and far fewer ways for gas to leak or alignment to get weird. For a hard-use rifle, that is huge. Your gas system stays consistent, your recoil impulse stays predictable, and your point of impact is not walking around because something under the handguard moved. Wrap that barrel in a forged receiver set, a seriously rigid free float rail, and a properly finished bolt carrier group, and you end up with a rifle that just feels locked in. Shooters who have spent time behind the ARC talk about how flat it shoots and how confidently it holds zero with lights. lasers, and night vision gear hanging off the front. This is the realm where people usually start talking about Knight's armament and other high-end names. But the lead and steel arc lives in an entirely different price band. Run it suppressed, run it hot in a course, or run it as your go-to defensive rifle. And it just does not care. It is not cheap, but it is still well under most $1,500 Gucci gun builds. And you are getting a feature, that monoblock system, that many of those rifles do not even offer. If you are the kind of shooter who actually trains at night, actually uses a sling and a light, and actually wants a rifle built to be used, not just photographed, the ARC deserves that top spot. It is a perfect example of how 2025 rifles can rival and beat $1,500 setups without ever crossing that line on the price tag. All right, folks, that's the rundown. 5 rifles that punch way above their price tag and make the old $1,500 rule look like ancient history. If you're honest about how you actually shoot, any one of these could anchor a serious setup. Ruger American Gen 2 in the truck, Bergara B14 HMR on the ridge, Zion 15 PSA Saber, or lead and steel arc by the bed. That's a ton of real-world capability without blowing up the family budget. Now it's your turn. Which one of these would you trust for your own build? And where are you still willing to pay the brand tax? Drop your pick in the comments. Let me know what it replaced in your safe. And if you like this breakdown, hit like and subscribe so we can keep calling out the hype together.